Hello everyone, my name is Jesse and this is the Auditorium where I react to video game music as a musician myself. Today is going to be a platinum patron request for Gardelane. This is a new game on the series called EG, I-J-I. Never heard about it, but I googled it right here. It seems kind of like a smaller game. It's a freeware 2008 video game featuring platform and shooting elements developed by Daniel Raymore using GameMaker over a period of 4 years. And composed by Chris Green and Dan Byrne McCullough. All right. So never heard of this, but I will say this. This requester has an amazing track record of stuff that I like. The song is called Kinda Green. So let's go. EG, Kinda Green, Sector 1 in parentheses. Tremolo guitar, one of my favorite sounds. That little boop, 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 boop. That's a tremolo sound effect. Very popular in surf rock. I don't know if that's a guitar or the synth with that. Electric guitar. Ooh. Short segment. It still has that really nice chord progression. Da, da, da. So it still sounds musical. And then we're back. I love that. It starts one way, it adds layers, and then it starts stripping the layers away when it ends. Doom, doom. And it's probably going to end with like nothing. Or a fade out? It's almost over. Fade out. It has to be a fade out. Oh no. Abrupt. I caught it right at the end there. Man. I just noticed I had like a pimple as soon as I started filming. Oh well. It'd be like that sometimes. I'm not perfect. you guys are just gonna focus on it the whole video. So the reason I say what I said earlier about the requester is that I've noticed the requester sends really like obscure, fly on the wall, very little known game stuff, and I think they know that I like that stuff, or maybe they don't, and they just like it for themselves. But I'm a big fan of that, like the underdog, the whole like underground stuff. This was really cool because it had a very like atmospheric. I was gonna say atmospheric atmosphere, but an atmospheric. Let's say vibe. To me, it sounded like I was like kind of in a control room, not necessarily like a spaceship, but just like a sitting down and just like a lot of buttons and a control room, or a cockpit or something like that. And I kept thinking I was like going through like a not space, but just kind of like this hollow, literal space, not like outer space. It reminded me of a lot of sounds. It reminded me of a group called Boards of Canada, if you guys have ever heard of them. It reminded me of the ending theme of Kill Bill, which is called Goodnight Moon by Shivari. And if you listen to that song, you will hear the tremolo guitar in that one as well. The tremolo effect, God, just a quick little tiny music lesson, because the word tremolo is so weird when it comes to music. There's so many definitions for that. There's tremolo picking, there's the tremolo effect, which is what I'm talking about now. There's tremolo finger picking. It just means multiple things, but basically in this case, the tremolo is referring to the wave signal, where it's just, and it makes just like the coolest noise, like the coolest sound effects for like the simplest things. The guitars are playing like the most simplest chords, like maybe like 3 or 4 chords, very slowly, but because of that dong, kind of has like this radiating effect. It sounds really cool, and that song has it as well. It's used a lot in surf too, but a lot faster. And that's another thing too, is that the tremolo effect, although not used too much nowadays, you can change the speed, right? In this case, it was like da 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 da, but there's like right, and then the really select dong. It can change. It's one of those things. It's one of those effects where I would an artist would use during like a writer's block, right? Like say, damn dude, I can't think of anything. Let me just strum this chord or whatever, and I can't get anything. Then maybe try an effect on it, and just try, different effects, distortions, delays, rotary, tremolo, whatever. And all of a sudden you have more tools to play with, just with the same thing, but now you have, an alternate way of sounding. So I really do like that sound. It's just one of my favorite sounds. Then it gets into this kind of like Risk of Rain type sound, where it just is kind of ominous and weird, and then it gets kind of like heavier and like more electric and all that. And by the way, when that part kicked in, it's weird. Like I was like surprised it happened, but I wasn't like taken back that it happened. I don't know how to explain it. It was like, ooh, what is that? But I also wasn't like, well, that came out of nowhere. It's so odd how I would think that. It was like kind of a neutral thing. But the only reason I thought it was kind of odd is because it came out of nowhere. There was no like build up to it. There was no volume swell. There was no crescendo. It was just the same thing over and over, and then it just hit abruptly, which is kind of jarring. But it worked, and it was cool. But what I really liked about it is that it was short. It was a very tiny segment, so it kind of hits a lot harder. It's just this kind of emotional peak, climax, pinnacle, whatever you want to call it, and then it just brings you right back down, which honestly has a little bit more effect than if it was like an elongated section or a long proper solo. It's just more of like a couple bars of an intense section, and then it just kind of drops back down, and then it kind of goes. This song is kind of like what I would describe as a musical, like mountain, I guess, something like that, where it just starts at the bottom, kind of goes into this triangle, adds stuff, peaks, and then it starts taking those layers away and goes back down into what it started. So it kind of like, you know, has this little, not roller coaster, but just kind of like this triangle formation. I'm just making things up as I go. There's probably a name for that, but I don't know it. Yeah, it was really cool. Kinda green. I don't know what that title could even refer to. Sector 1. Probably the first stage or something. Remar Games version 1.3. Yeah. Looks very bare bones, but I mean that's probably what gives it its like character and charm. But it sounded really cool. It sounded like something like I would have never heard if someone didn't show it to me. It's one of those. Same with the game probably. It's one of those like, you know, it would never really show up on your homepage or anything. Someone just kind of had to like show you through word of mouth, which is great. It's cool. It kind of reminds me of like the pre-internet days where people just used to like show stuff and here you go. So yeah, very cool. Reminded me of a lot of things, but that was nice. EG, let me know if you've played this. As always, I like to, the good thing about this channel is I always get to like bring to light these for the people that have never played it, but also for the people that have, and you know, they've been wanting to share this stuff with someone, but no one cares, so I care. So let me know if you played this and if you thought anyone was ever going to cover it. And a big shout out to the composers, Chris and Dan, and whoever else worked on it. Sounds really good. Hopefully I get to hear more someday. I don't know if I have any other requests for this, but if not, then it still sounded pretty good. Thank you, Gardelane. If you want to make a request as well, you can do so on Patreon or PayPal. Either are fine if you don't mind waiting in the gigantic wait list. There is the Platinum tier on Patreon, which Gardelane is a part of, which made their request from this month go all the way to the top. Big thank you to my current supporters of that: Kevin, Patrick, Shadow Maxim, Vanadel, Turnarclight, Callan, and Gardelane. Thank you to you for watching. Thanks to all my other supporters. Thanks to my PayPal supporters, everybody. And EG. Nice introduction. Cool. Until next time, dudes and dudettes, my name is Jesse. Take it easy.